Welcome back to Pokemon episode summaries. Today, I'll be doing episode 20, The Ghost of Maiden's Peak. The episode begins with Ash and the gang having left Porta Vista on a boat, on their way to Maiden's Peak, with their main goal being simply just to get back to the mainland. While on the boat, Brock thinks to himself in shame how he hasn't acquired a girlfriend yet, being sad that swimsuit season was almost over, so he wouldn't be able to see any girls in swimsuits and pick them up on the beach either. Summer had not ended quite yet, though, as the ship announcer announced that the summer festival at Maiden's Peak was going to take place. Team Rocket must have had their fucking ears blown off by the speaker, as they were trailing right behind the boat, getting ready for their next scheme. The boat then arrives at Maiden's Peak, and Ash and Misty eagerly talk about wanting to go to the festival, but Brock is still being a depressed bitch about not finding a girlfriend. But then, he sees this hot-ass anime chick on the dock, and tries to go after her, but is trampled by the crowd, who are still leaving the ship. Brock's not the only one looking at the girl, as Pikachu stares at her, but notices that she is not a girl at all, but rather a Ghastly. By the time Brock recovers from the trampling, the girl has disappeared, much to Brock's dismay. Ash and Misty try and comfort him, as Pikachu wonders why they don't notice that the girl was a Ghastly. Meanwhile, after Team Rocket arrive on the mainland as well, they come up with an idea to steal dropped money from all the tourists. James then sees the same hot chick that Brock saw, and gets distracted by her, which pisses off Jessie, who smacks him. By the time James recovers from this smack, when he looks back, the girl has disappeared, just as she did for Brock. Ash, Misty, and Brock then go to the festival, examining all of the summer decorations. Brock is immediately met with an old woman, who warns him that a beautiful woman will curse him with doom. Misty naively assumes that the woman is talking about herself, and promises the woman that she wouldn't do anything to harm Brock. The old woman laughs though, being like, "Bitch, you think you're beautiful? No, you're not who I mean, you ugly bastard." This obviously pisses Misty off, and she gets even more pissed off when Ash agrees with the old lady, so she gives him a big smack, and drags Ash and Brock away, not wanting to hear any of the old lady's nonsense. Meanwhile, Team Rocket begin their plan of searching for drop money from tourists, but are coming up completely empty-handed, until James manages to find a singular penny. They must be really fucking broke if they're excited over a penny. But then, the old lady shows up and warns James of the same warning she gave Brock. Warning of the beautiful lady. That would bring him doom. James replies that he already had a woman who brought him doom, referring to Jessie, which pisses Jessie off. Before she can do anything though, Officer Jenny shows up, thanking Team Rocket for recovering the lost money, referring to the penny that James found, and encouraging them to return the money to the police lost and found. James and Jessie quickly escape, obviously not wanting to give up the little bit of money that they had found. Meanwhile, Ash and the gang have now arrived at the Summer Festival's shrine, and are watching the unveiling of a special painting. This painting resembles the hot chick that Brock and James both spotted, and they both immediately take note of this, becoming enamored by its beauty. The monk at the shrine then explains the story behind the 2,000-year-old painting, explaining how a woman's husband left to fight in a war, and never returned, much to the woman's immense sadness. She was so sad that she turned to stone, a stone that can still be visited to this day. Brock and James decide to go see this said stone, with both of them wishing that she could come back, and claiming that they would have never left her in the first place. Obviously, it wouldn't be that simple for the man. He probably didn't want to leave his wife either, but duty calls, man. Don't get mad at him just because you're jealous that you weren't their husband. Hell, James is so obsessed with this lady that he almost falls off when he tries to reach for the stone. Meowth then gets the idea to steal the painting from the shrine, obviously assuming it'd be worth a lot of money, and Team Rocket agrees, deciding to do it at dark. By the time dark arrives, Ash and Misty want to go visit the festival again, as opposed to staying by the rock, but Brock tells them to leave him behind, as he wants to stay longer, ensuring them that he would be back to the Pokemon Center by curfew. However, when curfew arrives, Brock still hasn't made it back. This obviously concerns Ash, but Nurse Joy won't let him go out, being concerned for him. Wow, an adult's actually concerned about a kid in the Pokemon universe? Fucking insane. Soon after, Meowth wakes up at his scheduled time, and tries to get Jessie and James to wake up as well, reminding them of the plan to steal the painting. But Jessie and James are sound asleep, with Meowth only able to get them conscious enough for them to be able to tell him to be quiet, in the most mumbly way that they could possibly do. To make matters worse for Meowth, the ghost then appears and puts him to sleep, waking up James instead. James follows her into the shrine without any convincing, and Brock does the same after the ghost tells Brock that she's been waiting for him. This ghost is the one of the woman who turned to stone 2,000 years ago, and also the same girl that Brock and James saw earlier. The next morning, After realizing that both Brock and James were still missing, Ash and Misty and James and Meowth, respectively, begin looking for them, and eventually come across each other. Jessie starts by doing her motto, even without James, but then James continues the motto anyway, even though he should be nowhere to be found. This confuses Jessie, who calls out for James, wondering where he is. Eventually looking by the shrine, where Brock and James, hypnotized by the ghost, fall out. Ash questions Brock on what's wrong with him, but he doesn't respond, being in too much of a deformed state. Just then, the old lady shows up and explains how this curse was what she was warning about, explaining that the curse turns men into babbling idiots, likely due to the woman's sadness for her man leaving her. Ash then gets the idea to have Pikachu shock James and Brock to revert them back to their normal selves, which is actually successful, although painful, I'm sure. But James is used to being shocked, that's for sure. It happens like every single episode, right? The old lady then tells everyone to come into the shrine and unveils some special anti-ghost stickers that are supposed to ward off spirits. Ash and Misty decide to invest in these stickers, along with Team Rocket, as even though Brock was cured of his hypnosis, he was still down and out and not himself because he was so obsessed with the girl. And they were hoping that if they used these anti-ghost stickers and got rid of the ghost, it would get rid of Brock's affliction with her as well. The stickers are placed on James and Brock, as well as all around the shrine, in hopes that they would actually work. But, of course, they do not. Allowing the ghost to return at night. Brock, still enamored by her, needs no convincing to come with her, but James, now having come to his senses, obviously doesn't want to go with her and lose his mind again. And he questions why the stickers didn't work, with Jessie and Meowth explaining that they got them for free and didn't pay for them, insinuating that they were either fake or they stole them from the lady, and she found out. Despite James crying and pleading to not be taken by the ghost still drags him out anyway, much to his dismay. Ash, Misty, and Jessie, in an attempt to save James, fire a bazooka. 1. How the fuck did they get a bazooka? And 2. Why did they think a bazooka would work on a spiritual ghost? But it actually does do some damage, causing James to fall into the river, since the telekinesis powers are cancelled for a little bit. When James falls into the river, though, he's able to climb back up easily, and thanks Jessie for saving him, asking if she really did care about him after all this time. Jessie denies this, though, saying that she just hated the ghost because she thinks that no woman should be super dependent on a man, like she was. The ghost then summons several green skull ghosts to help her attack Team Rocket and the gang, and Ash looks at them with his Pokédex, assuming that they could be Pokémon. However, they're not. Ash then accidentally points his Pokédex at the ghost, and it's revealed that the ghost is a Ghastly, just as Pikachu had discovered earlier in the episode. The Ghastly then reveals itself to also be the old woman, purposely having spread the bad rumor regarding the ghost so that it could scare more people. Noting how Ghastly was a Pokemon, Ash decides to deal with it by battling it, sending out Pikachu to do so. But then, the Ghastly summons a mousetrap to scare Pikachu away. Meowth claims that he would never be scared of a mousetrap, but then, Ghastly creates a rubber ball for Meowth to play with, which does distract him. Jessie then sends out her Ekans, and James sends out his Coughing, but both of them fail as well, being scared of a mongoose that the Ghastly conjures up. Even Coughing's poison gas move isn't allowed to do anything to the mongoose, as the mongoose somehow puts on a gas mask. Ash then tries again, sending out his Charmander, but Ghastly counters by simply turning into a fire extinguisher. Ash then sends out Squirtle and Bulbasaur, but they are countered by their evolved forms Venusaur and Blastoise, who then combine Naruto style into Venusoys, which terrifies the living shit out of them, and honestly me too, that's a terrifying fusion design. Misty then tries her own way of getting rid of Ghastly by using a cross and other items that would be used on a vampire such as garlic. Ghastly is annoyed by this, offended that Misty would think it was a measly vampire, and is finally stopped by morning arriving, but not before swearing that it would return next year for the next festival, only being feared away due to the sunlight rising this year. The next night, Ash and the gang, along with Officer Jenny and Nurse Joy, send out vigils across the ocean that are seen as a symbol to guide lost spirits back to their loved ones. The real ghost of the woman watches this, hoping that it will guide her true love back to her, and thanks the Ghastly, who had reappeared during the night, for keeping her legend alive during the festival. The Ghastly responds by saying that if it ever saw her husband's ghost, it would tell him to come back immediately. As for Brock, he was no longer enamored by the woman, but he still wished to see her again, hoping that he would next year. As for Team Rocket, they were playing the drums during the final night of the festival, and Ash, Misty, Nurse Joy, and Officer Jenny were dancing along to the music. Everything was happy once again. And I'm sure the audience is happy, as you get to see Misty in a kimono,
and you get to see some shipping between Ash and Misty as they dance together.